What's going on, guys? This is just a purely simple review, my first impressions of Phenibut. And basically, what Phenibut is, this is not going to be an introductory video to this material, but basically, what it is an anxiolytic, or basically a substance that is used to relieve anxiety or reduce anxiety. And this is a 200-gram canister that I got from LiftMode, and I ordered this on Amazon actually a few months back, but Amazon has kind of pulled Phenibut off the shelves, so I believe you can order this from LiftMode themselves. I'll put a link in the description, and pretty much let's get started with my first impressions of this stuff. I've used it at various dosages. I started with 250 milligrams, and I worked my way up. After a few tries, I worked my way up to 750 milligrams, and after that I tried, I believe, 1 gram and 2 gram dosages, and these have never been dosages taken close to one another, because Phenibut is actually has addictive properties. So if you take this stuff consecutive days in a row, I believe if you take it, if you don't wait 2 to 3 days between dosages, you can start to develop a dependency. So you want to be careful about that, because people have experienced really, really severe withdrawal symptoms like headaches, depression, just a whole bunch of really nasty side effects. A lot of people have likened it to a hangover, basically, and I've never felt that myself, because I've only taken it pretty much once a week, and so I'll take it like a Friday or a Saturday, and then the next day I'll take it is pretty much a week later on the next Friday or Saturday. And I've used it. My anxiety isn't too bad. It's more of just like an unsettling or shaky feeling. My hands aren't exactly still all the time, so my anxiety is not that bad. I would say it's pretty normal to average for the typical person. And so the first time I had tried this, it was with the 250 milligram dosage, and that, for me, it felt like it was relieving my anxiety a bit. It wasn't, I wouldn't say it was the perfect dosage for me. It just kind of took the edge off just a tiny bit. And I did that for maybe about 1 or 2 dosages. So about 1 to 2, actually it was about 2 to 3 dosages. So 2 to 3 week periods I had tried it, and it kind of took the edge off a little bit. And so I decided after that I wanted to bump it up quite a bit. So the next time I had taken it after that was at 750 milligrams, and for me that kind of felt like a sweet spot, because in social situations, Phenibut is not something to be dependent on for social situations. I would say if you have serious anxiety issues, just find other ways to deal with your anxiety. But I would say as just a one-off thing, like let's say I've never used it for job interviews, but I would say if you're really nervous at job interviews and this is just kind of a one-off thing, I would say just take a little bit of it, and it'll really take a lot of that shakiness and that unsettling feeling. But when I had taken this over at 750 milligrams, it was pretty awesome. I had gone out and hung out with people, and I'm typically a social guy. I would consider myself a social guy, but with 750 milligrams on this stuff, I had taken it 2 or 3 times as well when I was out in social interactions, and it just felt like everything clicked. Everything clicked, like words would just flow. And a lot of people have described it as a feeling of when it's basically the feeling of that people get when they have courage from alcohol, except you're not drunk. which is kind of a really good thing. It really takes away the feeling, a lot of feelings of doubt and anxiety when it comes to social interactions. And that's the thing that I really loved about it, is because I was able to go out and talk to people. I would hang out with my friends over at the bar, and I used to be a big drinker, but now not so much. So everyone else is kind of, really loose, really drunk and having a good time. And I think a lot of people can relate to this, is that when you're the one sober person in a group of drunk people, it kind of feels a little bit weird because you're not exactly on the same wavelength. But with this stuff, I would just go out and hang out with my friends at the bar, just like not really drink all that much. I mean, this is not exactly something you want to pair with alcohol at all, because it kind of potentiates its effects. But sometimes I would just order a Coke and just have 750 milligrams of this stuff, and it was awesome. It felt like I was really in the interaction. Just words would fire out, and everything felt like it was good. Is basically the same kind of relieved feeling when you have alcohol in your system, except you don't. And so I would say if you're not a big drinker, or if you're a person that reacts pretty negatively in terms of anxiety to social situations, I would say try this stuff at different dosages and see how it works for you. And for me, it ended up being 750 milligrams. That was just right. And I had also tried it at 1 and 2 grams. And with those dosages, 1 gram, it was after my third or fourth dosage at 750. And at 1 gram, it started to be... I've been told that for sexual interactions, over 1 gram is awesome. Like, it just makes the whole sexual experience that much better. But I didn't use it for that. I'll probably make another video in the future regarding my experiences in having sex on this stuff. But I would have to say that for 1 gram, when I was out, it was kind of weird. I did get the same feeling of the edge really getting taken off, no shakiness, no unsettling feeling. But with 1 gram, I started to get a little hazy, kind of like a brain fog, but it's not similar to, let's say, a paracetam brain fog that people have reported. It's more of like, it's a sober, you're pretty much, it felt like I was living a sober hangover. And I don't know if there's any way to describe it any better than that. But I didn't really enjoy it in social interactions because I felt like I was too aware of my state at the time, and it felt like I didn't have the best control over myself. And so, like, my vision started to get a little blurry at times. I don't want to say exactly blurry, but it didn't feel like it was in focus. I found myself blinking a lot, just because I felt like I had to adjust my vision by blinking. So it was kind of a weird thing with that. And that was my experience at 1 gram. And so at 2 grams, it was like that, but it's so much worse. It was so much worse. A lot of people seem to have experiences just fine at 1 to 2 grams, but for me personally, it was just too much. And with this stuff, on 2 grams, I was really bad. Like, I had to blink constantly because it felt like my vision was constantly going out of focus. It felt like when you're drunk, like really drunk, and you don't have control over yourself, sometimes you'll move your hand or you'll turn your head, and it feels sort of like there's a little bit too much inertia. Your hand doesn't stop exactly where it's supposed to stop. Your head doesn't exactly stop where it's supposed to stop when you're turning your head. And that's kind of the feeling that I had on Phenibut. It was at 2 grams, and it felt like I was pretty much sober drunk. I was sober, but I didn't have the perfect control over my motor skills. And so that was kind of my experience with 2 grams. And this stuff is, I think it ran me about $40 on Amazon, but I think that LiftMode has different pricing for it now, since they're kind of the only, I mean, they have to sell it directly through their own site. I think there are a lot of other brands out there. I believe you can get it from other websites, but I just got it from LiftMode through Amazon. And I do know that liftmode.com does have the product, various versions of the product. They've got Phenibut, and they've got Phenibut FAA, and there's another Phenibut that has, I believe, 99.7% purity. And I'll probably buy those as well and kind of record videos of those and see if those are any different from this stuff, because this was the only, at the time when I ordered it, this was the only one that was available. And if we open this can, they give you a little scooper right here. They give you this tiny scooper, if I could get it out. And I think that this, it like sticks a lot. But this scooper right here, I think is about, I think it's about 250 milligrams. So that should be fine for people who just want the little tiny baby dose. And it's not exactly all that clean. So I would say if you're dealing with this stuff, do it somewhere where you're not afraid of getting a little bit messy. So yeah, that's pretty much my experience with Phenibut. I would say get a kitchen scale, because you want to be able to measure this stuff out very accurately. And I just got a very simple kitchen scale over on Amazon for just a few bucks, and I just used coffee filters to measure it out on the scale. Just tear out the coffee filter weight, and then just weigh the 250 milligrams, 750, one, or just whatever dose you feel you want to try at the time, and you're pretty much set. And this is my first review of any kind of supplement, nootropic, anxiolytic review. And I do want to do more of these, because I'm excited with a lot of the products out there that are available. This is not just going to be anxiolytics. It's not just going to be nutritional supplements. It's going to be pretty much everything that I can get my hands on. L-theanine, piracetam, aniracetam, protein powders, I guess. I don't really work out all that much anymore, but basically this is going to be a supplement review site. Whatever I can get my hands on, I'm going to record and just give my non-scientific anecdotal experiences on it. So I hope you guys like this video, and I'll see you soon.